Racebot TV on iRacing Live, bringing you Racebot Prime Time. It's Monday night. It's time for the UK&I Skip Barber Racing School Series. After just a few moments, runners, break. Welcome to Hall County, Braselton, Georgia. We're at Road Atlanta for next round, round 4 of the UK&I Skip Barber Racing School Series. Rachel Wyford here with Scott Woodwis, joining us from Downforce Radio tonight. Looking forward to some great racing action here, of course, in the hot South America. Well, south of North America, that is, of course. That gets a little confusing at times, but we are qualifying right now. A couple of minutes left on the clock here for the 15-lap race we're going to have tonight, and Scott, it's looking like qualifying is a tight affair tonight.
We're back with Racebot TV, first time in what's felt like a while, but yeah, it's really close qualifying sessions so far. A couple of movers and shakers in the last part with a couple of minutes to go. Benny Simonson up there in P4. Also Clark Williams has popped up. Apparently someone we don't really normally see up too often, but he pops up every now and again. Brendan O'Brien was the last one to set a pretty quick time. He's put himself up onto P5 on the grid with about a minute of the session left to go. But some top names up there as well. But front row of the grid so far is two names that we've come to expect at the front of the field, and this weekend seems to be no exception, Rachel.
Certainly not, Scott. Of course, this afternoon's race, late afternoon in fact, looking partly cloudy, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, track temperature of 74 degrees, so a track holding over some temperature from earlier in the day. They're going to make this a little trickier on the drivers. Extra grip, but not too much extra grip. Of course, winds are currently shifting. Fairly low, 2 to 3 miles an hour at the moment, north-northeast, but we've got cars still out on track at the moment. As Scott alluded to, familiar names at the front for him, Antonides and Stuart Adcock. Clark Williams back in third. Benny Simonson moves himself up to P4 right now with a 1 minute 34.708. A great lap from him. But just keeping an eye at the moment on the two drivers of Adrian Bidewell there and his teammate. That is, of course, the driver there of Mark Turner. They're currently drafting together, trying to get a good qualifying lap in, and these sort of cars, Scott, that is the way to get a qualifying lap in open session. You work with teammates.
Yeah, this is one of these cars I think it really benefits that you can take advantage of the fact that they are quite good in the slipstream, and I think one key point we're going to see coming towards the race is going to be the long back straight. We see them running down towards turns 10A and 10B, because that's where I think the most of the pass is going to be done. I think somebody threw it off at turns 5 and 6 there at the bottom of the circuit, but has ejected themselves, so the checkered flag flies. But yeah, I think this is one of those key circuits where if you are with your teammate drafting down this long straight, as you'll see them right now, that is a key part. If you can gain a bit of time, a bit of speed down there, that can make all the difference between starting on pole and starting somewhere down the bottom of the top 10.
It certainly can, of course. We expect Mark Turner to pull off here and let his teammate through at the end of the lap. In fact, he does now. And, 3 wide there. That was kind of exciting. But we'll watch the end of this lap, of course, and then we'll run through your grid very quickly. But this is a key example of open qualifying here and how you have to do it. Those two teammates working flawlessly, actually. They're both getting through very, very well. Not impeding each other at all. Coming down here after the final corner. We'll soon see what if either of them can make an improvement on their lap times. Laps looked clean. So expect an improvement here. Mark Turner will not move up, but Adrian Bidewell does up to P6, and Well, speaking of position 6, it's time to run through your grid. Starting on pole tonight will be Fahim Antonides with a 1:34.426. Great lap by Fahim there. Starting in second alongside him will be Stuart Adcock. Benny Simonson, well, he moves up another spot at the end of qualifying to position number 3. Clark Williamson will start on his outside. Heading back to row number 3, Brendan O'Brien and Adrian Bidewell, who just got that spot in the last moments. Brian G. Walker and David J. Burns make up row number 4. Row 5, that's Mark Turner and Tim Adcock. Rest of those positions will be up on your screen right now as we get ready to go to the grid for round number 4. Final cars starting to head to the grid now as we'll get ready to go racing here at Road Atlanta. These drivers getting ready for 15 laps of furious racing. Big grid tonight. We're looking at 40 cars currently who are looking to take the green flag, I should say, not the checkered flag. Oh, we'll see if they can take the checkered flag. Scott, of course, is 15 laps and 39 of the race cars to deal with that one.
Yeah, and the fact this isn't one of the widest circuits, especially in the first sector of a lap, with that winding section when you head into the first couple of corners, especially on the uphill run through turn 1. This is not an easy circuit to take turn 1, and I'm expecting we'll probably see 1 or 2 fireworks, probably somewhere in the midfield, ideally not. I'll be pleasantly surprised if we can get them all without any sort of contact. But I think the main point we're going to see here is Antonides versus Adcock. This is part 4, pretty much, these guys, because they had such a hard battle back at the season starter at Canadian Time Motorsport Park, then they continued that back at Lime Rock. Stuart Adcock seemed to run away with it, correct me if I'm wrong, at Brands Hatch. But now we're moving to a different sort of circuit here. It seems though they're very evenly matched. The lap times of qualifying shows that. So this is going to be a tricky one. But guys like Benny Simmons in the mix, Clark Williams, also Ryan Walker always goes well in the race, and others down the field. You think the top 2 are favourites, but with the guys behind them, it's always a tricky one to call.
It certainly is. Fahim Antonides will start up front on the right-hand side of your grid. For the first turn, of course, the back end of your field, it's a 40-car grid today. They start all the way back at the bridge, just before the final corner, so it's a long field here. As every driver, we believe, has taken their grid spot. We do have 40 cars on for tonight, so it'll be a jam-packed evening of racing here. We'll start to hear those engines starting to rev up in those cars as we get prepared for 15 laps of action. We'll see those lights go on the iRacing.com gantry, and we will get ready for racing just seconds now. Lights are on the gantry, and we're waiting now for race control to throw that green flag out. Engines rev, and the green flag is out. We're racing at Road Atlanta. Antonides with a good start at the front there. Good start as well by Adcock, who will pull to the inside behind Antonides as they get ready for turn number 1. Single file in your top 3 or 4. The top 5 looking single file already as we have a bit of congestion a little further back. We'll see if everyone gets through this one cleanly. Racing too wide there. Bottom of your top 10, that is Tim Adcock there on the outside for turn number 1. Too wide further back, Alan Patterson involved in that one too. A little further back, a bit of a check-up going on as we look back. We're 3 wide now through the S's at Road Atlanta, famous section here of the racetrack as guys jostling for room as much as they can find. Big grid here. We're trying to find a little bit of room, something all their own. Right now, everybody is being very well behaved, Scott. This is going... Oh, big contact towards the middle front of your field. And a lot of cars will be piling into this one. We'll have to keep an eye on what's happened. Tim Adcock is involved in that. We'll get you a quick replay of what's happened here. Tim Adcock loses the back end of his race car there on the grass. Spins that car around. He will come across the track, collecting with the Club 100 machine, flipping off the racetrack, and the crashing does continue further up your field. Multiple cars involved in that one. Very bad start to this race, Scott.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the proposition that I made almost came true, because I said that we'd be very lucky if they got through the first lap without any problems. But meanwhile, it's side by side for the lead as Adcock's now going to go on the outside and drafts past on the run down towards turns 10A and 10B. Looks like Adcock wants to lead this one at the end of lap 1. Also a move behind going on, that's for P5. That's between Brendan O'Brien just having to lose that to Adrian Bidewell. So there's a mix. Also got Ryan G. Walker in the mix there, along with David Burns and Mark Turner. So the top 10 starting to break away as it becomes the end of lap number 1 here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, they certainly are, Scott, and a good breakaway at the top of your field there as Adcock, Antonides, Simonson, Williams, your top 4 breakaway there. Bit of a breakaway all the way. Bidewell back in P5, but he's still got Brendan O'Brien, Ryan Walker, David Burns there trailing behind him. His front 4 really has made a good clean getaway. This is what we really expect every week. We see this top 3 or 4 often gap the field early on. They've got about a couple and a half at the moment. Of course, if you want to keep up with the action lap by lap, you can go to timing.racebot.tv. You can catch everything on there for the racing, of course, tonight. But as it goes, we've got some big movers already. Drivers making up spots in your field. Up from P37, well, he was up from P37 actually. He's now crashed. Nathan Davies on pit road for an early stop there. We weren't expecting that from him. He went out on lap number 2 in the S's there. That car spearing off the racetrack and ploughing into the tyre barriers. Not the race he would have wanted, but well, it's the one he got. As we head back towards your field, of course, looking like a pass from Antonides now. The 8 car. You can move on. Stuart Adcock here for the lead of your race. Through walk on Benny Simonson as well. In that yellow number 24 machine. He will push. He'll be too wide there with Adcock. Adcock will have the preferred line. Will hold the position at the chicane. But Simonson showing some pace early on, Scott.
Yeah, good move. He capitalised the fact he could get the toe from the 2 cars in front, so that was a really key pass there. Looking very slightly back, I see that looks like Brendan O'Brien's lost a couple of spots from Ryan Walker and also from David Burns going around the outside.
3 wide into turn number 1, no. Adcock will back out there. Simonson up the inside. That was the 3 wide across the start-finish line, and Benny Simonson will move up to second, but not a great run through turn number 1 because back will come Stuart Adcock. Not going to be able to make a move there, so he'll run in single file through turn 3. Clark Williams there, Scott backing out a little bit. He sees these guys racing pretty hard, pretty aggressively. He doesn't want to be involved.
Kieran think, well, if these guys are going to battle amongst each other, he knows that he just has to sit there and keep pace, because if he just makes one mistake from the top 3, then he can put himself into a podium place. He's in the early couple of laps in a prime position, but he can't afford to stay there too long, because the longer he sits there, the longer he lets himself stay in 4th place. He's got to try and either pick a moment or hope that these two come to blows. And at the moment, they're running pretty cleanly, but if they continue running closely, I'm not sure. These guys are clean enough because they have scored some pretty good victories so far. At least Antonides and Adcock have done so. Benny Simonson is the kind of the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons, if you like, because he's not in the championship fight, but he's certainly throwing himself into the mix in P2 right now, with Adcock all over the rear wing as they come back down towards the braking zone at the chicane.
And he is, and we'll have a quick look here actually at the number 12 car. Bill Fraser, one half of the Fraser Squared team, of course. Williamson not here this week, but we've got a 2 wide, looking like 3 wide pass here, running down towards the chicane. This is something we expect to see all night, Scott. These guys drafting hard as 3 wide, 3 into 1, doesn't work, but the driver will take advantage. Mick Watson, Scott.
Yes, and at the front, it's all go because I think Antonides went a little too deep into the chicane. It's now brought Adcock into play and also Benny Simonson. And also now in the mix, as we said, is Clark Williams. It's pretty much the Fantastic 4 down towards turn 1. Simonson on the inside of Adcock, and he's got the pass for P2. So Antonides held on to the lead, but it all started when he went a little too deep into the chicane, and from there it just kind of concertinaed the rest of the 3 cars behind him. They all scrapped amongst each other, but pretty much they've all come out of it in pretty much exactly the same order they started.
Certainly have, but a net gain for Benny Simonson. He's up to 2nd place now, ahead of Adcock, having cemented his position. So he's going to have to try and now catch up with Antonides. Not perhaps quite as quick there as Adcock was. A bit of a gap forming between Antonides and the other 3. We've not seen that happen before. To check back on Mick Watson, Bill Fraser, Jonas Van Verwerke, and the driver Chris Malcolm now in a very Jamaican-looking Skip Barber race car. I think it's a bobsled, but it'll do, I suppose. It kind of looks like a bobsled. It's a Skip Barber race car, but good racing amongst these guys in the bottom end of your top 15 here. You're looking like making another good pass here down and straight towards the chicane, but of course we can expect this all night from any group of cars close to each other, as Bill Fraser there is going to draft up behind the car of Mick Watson, that treble 6 car, Devolution Racing, being passed by the Fraser Squared tartan machine of Bill Fraser there, the 12 car. We'll get a good clearance as we run down towards chicane. He will secure that spot, and looking just ahead of them, we've got a scrap with Brandon O'Brien. There's Mark Turner, David Burns.
Sorry, Adcock in trouble. I think there was contact between him and Simonson. I think Adcock held the inside, and that is Adcock beached in the gravel at turn 10B. So that is the man who came as the champion, I think, in the championship lead, and that's him now pretty much possibly out of the race.
Yeah, we'll get you a quick replay of this one actually up because this needs to be seen, of course, as it looks like Simonson just turns across him as though he's not even there, Scott. Adcock, barged out of the way.
Yeah, that is a real shame, and I think Simonson, he may have just tried to hold the line, but he may not have realised that Adcock was still that much up his inside. It's a tricky one to argue, I suppose, but and that sort of things, it's I don't know, it's you have to try and keep 50-50 on that one. I'm sure Benny will argue his case, Stuart will argue his, but at the end of the day, the end result is that Simonson's still in second place, sandwiched between Antonides and Williams, and Stuart Adcock, who came this weekend up in the top two in the points. In fact, he was actually championship leader by 9 points. He's not going to lead Atlanta in that way, because if it stays this way, Antonides will overhaul him by quite a margin.
Certainly will. Defending champion for him, Antonides will resume the championship lead this week, unfortunately due to that contact, of course, between Benny Simonson and the driver of Stuart Adcock. Unfortunate for him. Looking back to your field, of course, Brendan O'Brien, Bidewell, Turner and Burns still racing hard there. Burns actually fighting with Ryan Walker. They make the move actually on the outside, running down towards chicane. We'd expect a lot of passes here today. Good moves by these guys. They're not too close to the leaders, but not that far back either. The fighting Scott amongst your lead three now. Certainly bring them together, but there's only three of you. You're all looking at a podium tonight. Do you fight or do you leave it for the last lap?
He wanted to go for, because Simonson is looking very racing, so he wants to lead this race, and they've got a bit of a back marker in front of them. That is Mark Murphy. So he's had problems, obviously. He started fairly up high in the order in the top 10. He's dropped way down after an early stop. And Antonides is getting very close to that contact. Murphy goes around. That will cause that front wing damage to Antonides, and that will be Simonson capitalising on that all night long. And, well, Antonides will have hoped he got out of the way, but in that case, when it's blue flags, you are told to hold your line, and Antonides will have obviously expected to move out of the way. So that's a bit of a catch-22 situation for Murphy. It's seen him speared off into the scenery, but now it brings both Simonson and Williams into play, and we've got a real fight on our hands for the lead again.
It certainly does, but Antonides looks to have a front wing still on that car, so not over yet. He seems to have gone away with that one somewhat squarely. Of course, rear contact from Mark Murphy. I think he just lost momentum in turn 3 there, actually. Scott, and that car is slower than Antonides perhaps expected. Yeah, this really does bring the race to clutches of Benny Simonson here. He has the cleanest car in the top 3, actually. But we aren't sure really how much damage he has, of course, from the contact with Adcock. He will go to the inside, they're running down the straight. He will have the line in the lead of this race for the chicane. Doug Williams looking like he wanted to try too, but not going to make that move, of course. Antonides here, desperate to try and get that position back. Simonson now in clean air, though. Could be an advantage for him, but this could keep Antonides in the fight, of course. That front downforce damage he has on the car, of course, Scott, well, mitigated somewhat here in the draft.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I'm just looking awesome. My attention is currently caught by the fact we've got side by side for P4. Burns is holding the inside line. Walker with his damage front wing on the outside as they come towards it. And behind, I think, is Bill Fraser sat back thinking, we'll just keep on fighting, boys, because the longer you do that, I might take advantage. As I think, certainly as Clark Williams has done since, in fact, we had Stuart Adcock having to make some problems. So it's Mark Turner on that. My apologies, it's Mark Turner. So that battle still rages on as they head through. But yeah, top 3 continuing as they are, Simonson, Antonides and Williams, and everyone seems to be splitting off to packs of 3 or 4 at least at this point in time, and this is very reminiscent of one of my favourite forms of racing, Caterham racing, where these cars, they do tend to bunch off into packs, and it's a case of you get constant side-by-side action, as now, talk of which, Antonides trying to look around the outside at turn 6 of Simonson. He'll look for the cutback on the second part. There's not enough room on the exit. Oh, contact! Williams straight into the back of, I think must have been lag on my screen for one point, because it looked to me as though the lag showed Williams going straight into the back of Antonides, but obviously the broadcast would have shown otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see Antonides looking like he's going to have a good drafting opportunity to make a move here on Simonson. Will go to the outside. Of course, gives him the widest line into his corner, and he really needs to clear him. He will, we expect. Yep, no question about it there. So actually, no, Simonson does still hold the inside here. Made a move towards Antonides, but he still holds the apex. He will take that line. Unfortunately, not able to close that door on the second part. It'll still be too wide here. Running under the bridge through the final corner. Simonson looking to try and clear Antonides. He does do that. Good defensive driving there by the number 24 car of Benny Simonson. He will take the lead once again. Ending his position, of course, and leading another lap here at Road Atlanta. And looking further back, Bill Fraser there, still fighting with Mick Watson and Chris Malcolm as they race now for the bottom end of your top 10. Chris Malcolm in P9. Hamilton a lot further back on his own, P number 10. Looking further up though, P6 is David Burns. He's racing with Ryan Walker and Mark Turner for your top 5 positions there. Mark Turner and Ryan Walker in the top 5. Oh, David Burns, he wants in. See if they can make anything else happen during this race at the moment. Looking at P20 though, is Ashley Blakeney. He's racing with John Jenkins. In front of him, Barry West, and further the road a little bit as well. And they have Piers Cocky leading that train as well. David Cake involved in that one too. And if he can get a slice of the action. That's terrible, I realise, Scott.
I think we all have a good pun in a race spot, especially in motorsport commentary, so I think we'll let that one slide, but that's fine. But yeah, this is the great thing about the Monday Night Skippies, is that it doesn't matter what sort of skill level you've got, they've always got somebody to race with, whether it's at the front, in the mid-pack like we're seeing here, or towards the back. You've always got at least 2 or 3 cars around you that are on the same sort of pace, and you can have fun. It's an enjoyable championship. That's why it's so popular. Of course, the main reason why we've got 40 cars lined up for this first race, this race of the weekend.
We certainly do, and some close racing there with... Oh, Ashley Blakeney contact there with John Jenkins, pushing him wide off the corner. I'm just going to talk about the racing now we saw, actually, between Ashley Blakeney there and David Cake were racing position, and then contact. Jenkins going wide and off the racetrack after... Oh, looks like Blakeney went a little deep there. Actually, that's Cake, sorry, I apologise. He went deep into the corner there and made contact. That's John J. Jenkins. He's back on the racetrack, but slow. See him being passed at the moment by Kip Stevens in the number 11 machine. He will get through as well. John Jenkins tagging on at the rear of this pack. Further up there, Blakeney does go around the outside on Cake. He will make the move, and as does Lee Deemer as well. Big move by Lee Deemer. He will not have a third line though. That will go to Ashley Blakeney. He gets through there ahead of the 3 of them, but a good cutback by David Cake. I think this was for the lead of the race, Scott. This is back in P20.
It's fantastic. They will race as hard as they feel they have to, because, like I said, that's the main part about it. It's all about the fun factor in these skippies, and even though it is for P20, as you said, it's pretty much a fantastic scrap, as if they were fighting for the top positions on the podium. It's really good to see. Speaking of the top positions of the podium, just a very quick reference to them, there was a good battle, but it's still going on. Simonson took the lead for Antonides down the pit straight last time around, but they're going side by side again for the lead, and Clark Williams said he's still sat back there just watching these two scrap amongst each other, and he feels that the harder they do that, the easier it'll be for him to take advantage and make a break. He's got the toe between the middle of them, side by side again down towards turns 10A and 10B. Simpson on the inside, Antonides on the outside under brakes. Simpson holds it, but again Antonides feels he can hold the outside line, and he still keeps it there as they come up towards the bridge at the end of the lap. So these three still continuing on as they continue to fight tooth and nail. Just quickly, it's the same as it is for 4th, 5th and 6th. It's now Walker from Turner from Burns, so everywhere you look there's a battle to be had.
There certainly is. These little pods of 3s and 4s there as we look further back. Mick Watson, Chris Malcolm there, and Bill Fraser position fighting bottom end of your top 10. Bill Fraser will make the move on the inside there of Mick Watson. He will make the pass into turn number 1. Good pass there by Bill Fraser. Also, car coming back on track. That was, I believe, we'll find out in just uno momento. That is the number 98 car. Clark Williams, he's off from your lead group. Clark Williams, we'll get a replay of the action that happened there. Gonna show this for you now. So heading into turn number 1, of course, and Clark Williams following Antonides and Simonson.
Ooh.
Has to check up a little bit much behind Antonides. Back end steps, he gets in the grass and round he goes. That's why we just seen that happening. Of course, he will get that car going again and carry on. No damage on his car. He will continue, but he has lost a good number of spots. He is back outside your top 10, in fact. As, no, I think he is P10. Yes, he is. Not a huge loss, but this was Ryan Walker. Have a 3-way battle for the final spot. Walker, Turner and Burns. This just got heated up.
And I wonder if these guys are going to start to try and work together, because if they can do that, that means they can start to bring themselves into the lead fight. Although there is a fight for 3rd place now, because we've got Turner trying to force his way up the inside into the chicane, looking for the nice little cutback on the exit. He hasn't got enough traction to put himself alongside Walker just yet. He's going to try and get a bit of a tow as they come through the final corner. And let's watch this now, because you've got David J. Burns. The car behind him is a lapped car, so you shouldn't really...
Some issues, we believe, on YouTube, but we'll get that back running once again for you. And we are continuing, of course, with the broadcast. You'll be able to catch this one, of course, live. Well, not live, but in recorded mode, of course, afterwards. But I think one Turner there leading that group now. Of course, he got past Ryan Walker a moment ago. David Burns, he is sitting waiting, seeing what happens from these two. This is the battle for P3. Mark Turner, that 13 car, he is up there in a podium spot. Ryan Walker, we know once he's had a podium before this season. That was at Zolder. A great race by him. And his first podium in the series, and one that's well deserved. Clark Williams, he's trying to get back up into the top 10, but well, further up the top 10 I should say. He's down in 9th, 3 seconds behind Chris Malcolm in P8.
Just whilst he was happening, just keeping my eye on this lead battle here. It's a bit of a stalemate between Simonson and Anthony and Antoniadis. Hasn't really changed too much. Just Fahim just seems to be content with just sticking behind Benny, just keeping wherever he needs to be, and then probably just picking his moment in the last couple of laps. So we're on lap 13 and 15, so we haven't got that much longer to go. And I wonder if he's listening to me in the commentary box, as he's now thinking, right, this is the time for me to pounce. He's closing in on the slipstream, which is not really 2 corners. They call it turns 8 and 9, but they're so high speed you don't really count them. Down the bottom of the hill they'll come towards. They'll start to head towards a very tricky breakers end, because it is downhill, so you carry a lot of momentum up towards the time when you have to hit the middle pedal under brakes. And again, because in the background as well, the switch for third between Turner and Walker, they're still scrapping away. But now coming up with just 2 laps to go, I wonder, is there going to be, how much is Anthony going to try and fight him? Because he knows that Benny Simpson, he's not in the championship fight. Anthony can pretty much take as many points as he can out of Adcock, because he's not in this race anymore. So the question is, does Anthony just go all out for the win, or does he sit back and allow Simpson to have the glory this time around and just sit there in second place and take the points which he knows he can from Adcock?
Of course, he will want that. This will put him in the championship lead, even finishing second. And Adcock has not, of course, continued the race. He is parked on pit road at number 52 car, taking no further course in this event. Have a look at your battle for the bottom end of your podium. Currently it's Mark Turner leading the way from Ryan Walker and David J. Burns. Those 3 battling hard here for position, and of course still there with the car of, that is Adrian Bidewell, the teammate of Mark Turner, but he is a lap down, of course, so not in this fight for position. Looking through your top 10, we've got some interesting battles. 12 car has had an accident. There's Bill Fraser. Bill Fraser out of your top 10. He's had a moment as well. And we'll see what happens. That was heading through, turn 6. The car runs wide, gets on the curbs. He can't keep hold of his Scott on the sand. And he goes in near contact there with Chris Malcolm too.
Yeah, unfortunately a bit of contact there. Just trying to rewind myself so I can take a look at that and see what happened. And looked to me as it was, looking next to that turn 6, he just got it loosed on the exit, and then from that, it seems there was some more contact as well. So not fantastic, but unfortunately, that's the sort of situation that can happen in Skip Barbers, and he wasn't.
I have to stop you actually quickly, Scott. We've got the battle for the lead is intensifying now as Antoniadis and Simonson are catching lap traffic. They've just gotten past 1, and they've got another one up ahead of them. You think that could be believed that it's a lap down car. He gets well out of the way, one of the Club 100 machines. As Antoniadis really going to pull the coal on now. This is the final lap. He has one more opportunity now to pass Simonson for the lead of this race. Antoniadis has to either stay in second or win here. He can't afford to make a silly move and make a mistake and end his race.
Look behind him, because of course you can see, as I said, these 3 have worked together. We've got Walker, Turner and Burns. They were about 3 seconds away now. It's definitely less than about a second and a half from these 2. So if these 2 aren't careful, if they got held up in the lap traffic, the 3 cars behind them have dealt with it a lot better. As we come towards pretty much about half a lap to go, we've almost got a 5-car pain train for the lead here as they come onto this long back straight. And I think it's safe to say the exit from here is going to be all crucial for Antoniadis. He needs to get the best run he can. He'll sit in the slipstream. But look at the exit that Ryan Walker got. He's bringing Turner and Burns with him. We've got just this straight, then turns 10A and 10B, underneath the bridge, and then it's underneath through the final corner to go. You've got one final chance for Antoniadis. Is he going to go left or right? Here he comes.
Goes to the outside. Can. Nearly had contact there on the track. Antoniadis not going to be able to turn in time. Simonson will have the line. Ryan Walker, of course, that draft helped him as a slide by Simonson. Antoniadis has the run in the final corner. Antoniadis has the run. Simonson pinches. Antoniadis makes it through. Final corner now. Run to the line. Simonson with the undercut. Can he do it? There's going to be no room for Simonson, and it will be Antoniadis will win here at Road Atlanta on a podium. Ryan Walker holding off Mark Turner at the end.
What about that? That was the top 5 separated by just over a second. And I said, if those 3 Walker, Turner and Burns kept it clean, kept working together, and they could get around the traffic. And if those two kept on scrapping and getting each other's way, that being Antoniades and Simonson, they were going to come into the mix. And it was close because Antoniades did have a quite 10B. He was so close to losing. That was to his detriment because Antoniades slipped up the inside, said thanks very much Benny, got him on the inside of the final corner, through onto the line, P1, job done, maximum points. He'll be absolutely delighted.
He certainly will be. That was the exact scenario he wanted, and well, Simonson fought him hard for that one. Of course, driver not in series, nothing to lose, but Fahim Antoniades will come home with maximum points and the maximum advantage he can get over Stuart Adcock, of course, his championship rival who did not finish today. Well, we're going to go to driver interviews in a moment, but first, we're going to run through your grid. Your results, I should say. Coming home today, at the top of the points, Fahim Antoniades will win the race here at Road Atlanta in round number 4. Benny Simonson has to settle for second on the outside. Brian Walker comes home in third, final step of the podium. Mark Turner in fourth, David J. Burns in fifth, Mick Watson in P6, Chris Malcolm P7, Mark Williams in P8. And Mark B is P9, and Joe Harrison rounds out your top 10. That's those positions. Going to go back through your final race results. Of course, we had a bit of a moment there, some issues with YouTube tonight. Fahim Antoniades takes the win here at Road Atlanta. Benny Simonson in second place. Final step of the podium is Ryan G. Walker. Mark Turner has settled for P4. P5, David J. Burns. Mick Watson in P6. Chris Malcolm P7. Mark Williams claws his way back to P8 in the end. Simon Maltby P9 and Joe Harrison in 10th. That's those results on your screen. And well, we're going to get a chat now with the race winner tonight is Fahim Antoniades. Fahim, thanks for joining us.
Hi Rachel, hi Hugo and Scott. Thank you for having me.
Always happy to have you here in the booth, especially when you are the race winner, Fahim. But exciting one tonight. Some moments of difficulty in the top 3 and some contact for yourself actually with a lapped back marker. But a mistake by Simonson in the final chicane gave you the last opportunity you needed. It was a pretty tough race by the looks of things.
No, my heart is still pounding in my throat. That was a very tough race. It was quite difficult because on a track like this, usually what the first 2 or 3 guys do is take turns on the straight to relay and draft each other away from the rest of the pack. And that's what Stu and I were planning to do. In fact, during qualifying, I know he's a championship rival, but it's a very gentlemanly rivalship ours. We do try and help each other. So he helped me in the draft, I helped him in the draft during qualifying. But anyway, that was the plan during the race, to try and help each other with a draft. And it's not an easy thing to pull off. You've got to nail every corner perfectly and time it perfectly and like clockwork. And unfortunately, I don't think we managed to get the timing quite right. Benny caught up with us, and I think his take on racing was a little bit different to ours, which was to, I think you could see from the race, to try and race all out. And I don't know where. I think I got damage on my front wing when I had a back marker. I was shocked how quickly I caught him up. I thought he was going to move out the way, but he just rushed towards me. I don't know if he braked earlier or if I was going too fast. But anyway, I could see from my bonnet, there was a dent in my bonnet, that I probably had front damage, and that was the reason why I couldn't pull away from Benny during the in the straights, because whilst I could draft him, I was losing top speed on the straights and he could keep up with me in the side draft. So the only way I could really, after a few laps, decided I could beat him would be to try the undercuts at the chicane, because I knew he would stick, rather than slot behind me, try and outbrake me into the chicane. So I thought, well, let's wait for that to happen. I'll brake a little bit earlier and then I'll go for the undercut, and it worked.
A great result, of course, and some amazing last lap battles we've seen this season, and this just adds to that list of things. So we're going to have Scott Woodward now standing by with your other podium finisher tonight. of Ryan Walker. But firstly, Fahim, congratulations on a win and retaking the championship lead. We'll have to see you next week if you can see if you repeat it.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry that Stu didn't make it on the podium as well. It's a shame now.
It certainly is, but thanks for joining us, Fahim. Over to Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I got third place Ryan Walker on the podium after a great battle he had for the third position, and we'll speak to Ryan now. Ryan, what a battle you had with Mark and David, swapping positions all the time, and it looked as though for one point you guys were sort of almost kind of inadvertently working together, because you could have got yourself potentially into a P2 or P1 had the first two come to blows. It was a great drive from you three.
Yeah, that was that was hard work, that's for sure. But yeah, yeah, I think at the start of the race, I kind of just decided to keep out of trouble and not be too aggressive. And then once I seen that some of the super quick guys at the front were having issues, I kind of decided just to when I was behind Mark at the time, and I think it was David as well, kind of just to settle down and try and use our draft to try and catch up with the Fahim and Benny as well, I think it was. And it was working, but just ran out of time, unfortunately. But third place, I'm quite happy with that.
I'd say it should be. It's an important podium. It's giving you some important points to go towards the champion table. I think this will have pushed you somewhere around a little bit closer to Mark's points tally. So I think from the first race to see yourself either third or fourth in points, you've had a pretty fantastic start to the season. The Skippy seems to be a car that you really seem to gel with pretty quickly.
Yeah, I liked to skip Barber, but I was never really on the pace with the car for some reason. But during last season, I just basically sat down with the car and decided to do really lots of practice with the car and just get used to it and try and get some more pace out of it and try and get more confident as well and try and go that little bit quicker. And it seems to be paying off.
But you got next round coming up, which is Homestead as well. Is that, how are you looking forward to that? Because that's obviously that's a roval, a road course set on an oval. So how are you looking to that? It's very much a different circuit compared to Road Atlanta.
I like the track, but I've had some good races in the official Skip Barber series, but last season in the UK&I League I didn't really have any luck when I got hit from the back and taken out. So hopefully we can go one better and try and finish in the podium again, or in the top six at least. So that's the aim, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Well, a great drive, great battles between yourself and Mark and Dave, and I think to come out on top with a third place is one you should definitely be proud of. So, well done, great effort, and we'll see you in Homestead.
Thank you, Scott.
And Rachel, I think you have someone who finished in the top 15, one of our favourite drivers, and that's Rhys Saunders.
Oh, I certainly do, and breaking his tradition this season of not actually bothering to finish races. And in fact, we've had to scrap the Reese's in Pieces highlight show for the end of the year. Rhys Saunders, you come home P13 today from P21 on the grid. Great result for you, and you finished. We need some sort of jingle for this. This is a celebratory moment.
Ta-da! Yeah, finish. Had a really nice race, actually. Made some ground in the first couple of laps. I did manage to self-spin, so Reese's Pieces is still on. But then, yeah, had a very lonely end to the race. I think I didn't see another car for about the final 7 laps. But no, it was really good fun at the start, especially.
Certainly was, and it's a good job that you are, of course, managing to bring this one home today. And finishing the points as well, being a big reward for you. Looking forward to the next round?
Yeah, Homestead. Can't wait for it. I think it is Homestead next, hope I'm right. But yeah, no, bit of a draft track again. Some variants, fast corners, slow corners, all the rest of it. So hopefully we can get some consistency going on.
That's great to hear from you, of course, and congratulations on a points finish for you tonight, of course. And, good luck for next round. Finally, we're going to be joined by Connery Maddock, of course. Connery didn't have a great race tonight. Came home in P32, 3 laps down. What went wrong, Connery?
It started going wrong just in qualifying, really. I didn't manage to get a good enough draft time. The time, my first time I did start was actually without the draft. And in the race, I think about lap 2, I got completely taken out and flipped on my roof by a driver who I won't name because I don't think he called it on the broadcast, who didn't seem to make any attempts to make the apex of the corner. So I'm just incredibly frustrated.
Not a great result for you, of course, tonight, but anyone you can come back from, Homestead's certainly a place that you are well familiar with. Looking forward to a better result?
Yeah, I actually like the Roval tracks. I know some people absolutely hate them, but I find I'm actually quite decent at them, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, absolutely great news for you there, and thanks for joining us, Connery, and
thank you.
we'll hope to see you next week. Well, Scott, it's been a great race we've had tonight. Some drama, some excitement, and some controversy, of course, and looking forward to reading all about that one after the race. In the post-race discussions amongst the drivers, some heated debate going on in pit road at the moment, but we won't bring you that. We're not NASCAR. It's going to be exciting, of course, and we expect to see a great race at Homestead. Always challenging racing. The Rovals bring us some really close fighting. Today, final thoughts?
Yeah, Homestead's not a circuit that I know of too much in terms of a road course, but obviously there's a couple of drivers who seem to either have driven it before but don't have really too many sort of opinions either way on what it's like. But I think for the racing we got today at Road Atlanta, I think it was top draw. I think some great battles between Fahim and Benny, and I think Clark was really unfortunate to lose it when he did. He jumped rather than being pushed, but all in all, I think a great racing for Skippys. I think if I'll give one final sentence, I think I picked a good broadcast to come back to RaceSpot, because that was definitely worth my time, and I'm looking forward to hope for the first of many more. So it's good to be back, but end of the day, the racing stole the show, and so congratulations to Fahim and to Benny and to Ryan to the podium finishes, and onwards to Homestead.
And it will be, of course. Join us next week for round 5 of the UK&I Skip Barber Racing School Series at Homestead Miami Speedway in Florida. Oh, this is all from Georgia tonight. I've been Richard Whiteford. I've been joined by Scott Woodwis, and of course, as always, Hugo Luis in the director's chair. A great one tonight. Thanks for joining us on RaceSpot Prime Time here on iRacing Live. Join us same time next week. Good night.